Hello, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you clicking into this because this video is going to be a little bit of a different tone. It's a little bit more reserved, and it's kind of more of an explanation of where I am in the month of March and kind of what's led me to be this way. And the reason I joined this whole YouTube community was for accountability and kind of encouragement. And I feel like this is one of those times when I need to be accountable, and I kind of need to be encouraged and want also to encourage other people. So I hope that watching this would be an encouragement to you. I know that just making this is keeping me accountable, and hopefully will be encouraging. So I'll jump in. It's March. Today's Thursday, March 5th. So, and I'm not going to upload until maybe Friday or Saturday. But and I've just done my March budget. We're like the way through, and the reason why it took me so long was because I really felt like a lot of my priorities were shifting this month. And rather than just kind of proceed and not be mindful of the fact that my priorities are shifting and why, I wanted to be very intentional and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling and this is why my spending patterns have changed. So, to kind of give a little backstory, I'm in a friend's wedding at the end of the month, so that's super exciting. I'm a bridesmaid, and I've never been one before, so it's exciting, and I'm really looking forward to celebrating with her. It's kind of pricey. We got our dress, and the dress was about $170, and then we had the bridal shower. That was fun, but also kind of an outgo. And really, for all of it, I was like, whatever, just I will pay it. The dress, I kind of tried to cheap out them. Then I was like, you know what, forget it. We'll go with this one. It looks great on everyone. We'll go with it. So that's kind of the outgo there. And then we have the Bachelorette coming up, which I kind of all the things I'm excited to spend money, I'm spending money on, I'm really excited about that. So that's kind of an event that requires outgo, which I'm just trying to plan for. And this friend is really, really cool. So we met at a church retreat. And what happened was I was rooming with another girl, and there were only supposed to be two of us in the room. And I got to the room and I looked, and there was a third person, and I'm like, oh great, like I have to room with someone else. And then the third person ended up being this friend whose wedding I'm in, because she opened her mouth, and I was like, you are someone that I want to get to know. You are amazing, and I want to be like you. So that's the friend, and it kind of we met maybe 4 years ago, and it's been really great getting to know her. So that's how I met her. So that's an exciting thing that's coming up, and I'm really looking forward to that celebration at the end of the month. What else has kind of affected me, and that's kind of the other part of the title of this video. So kind of to give backstory on that, for my church, I'm on the setup team, and the reason I ended up joining the setup sort of AV team, was because a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, they put out a call that they needed volunteers, and I was kind of out looking at it, like checking out the table that they had, for signups. And a single fellow that I was interested in kind of walked by, and we got to talking, and one of the elders saw him in front of the table and was like, sign him up, he needs to join this team. And he's like, okay, so he signed up. And I was like, oh, well, if he's gonna sign up, why don't I sign up too? So I signed up, thinking that it'd be a great opportunity for us to get to know each other. Joke was on me, because they split us up into 4 teams on alternating weeks, and we ended up being in different teams. So there goes that opportunity. But it was really great nonetheless. It was kind of a challenge because, I mean, you're lifting things, you're plugging in cables and setting stuff up, and I'm like, I am the least technical person, and I'm also, a lady. And so Sunday morning, you kind of want to look nice, you don't want to be all like sweating and hauling stuff, so I just kind of had to suck it up and deal. So it was like all these guys and me, which was actually kind of fun because a lot of the circles that I run in, there are a lot of women. So it was neat to be around this male energy, but it was work. And at first I thought I would kind of, give it maybe a month or couple months, maybe 6 months, and then make an exit, because I didn't, I was like, why would I do it anymore? Because, my ulterior motive has been squashed. But I ended up staying because the head of the AV team was just a really, really neat guy. He's kind of quiet, reserved, frank, honest, funny, witty. And so they had me running PowerPoints because they're like, Christiana, please don't you don't need to lift things. You can run the PowerPoints. I'm like, okay, which still, it's like, I mean, we have a service of 200 people, and you're sitting there, and if one false move and like everything explodes, so it's kind of nerve-wracking. But the head of the team was like, all right, I'll sit with you while you learn the first couple times, then you can do it on your own. I'm like, okay, thanks. So he was just really, really cool and chill. And I liked being around him. He was married with a now 6-year-old son, and just his family was really cool, and I liked the way that they interacted, and I was like, oh, and I'd be there, and they'd be like doing their thing, and it was a neat environment. So this was about 2 years ago, and I've been on the team ever since. Then our church moved to a different location, and I kind of stayed in the team there, and it was even less work, which was great. It was just, you just kind of stand back there, you don't have to set anything up. Still, I'm the least technical person. Like, I know nothing. I was an English major. I don't know how to set stuff up. I learned a tiny bit. So what happened was one of my friends, who's friends with this woman that's getting married, is also in a life group. A guy friend is in a life group with the head of the AV team leader. And it was Wednesday, February 17th. And he sent out, which was Ash Wednesday, this guy friend sent out an email to our group of friends. And the email, it was 9:30 in the morning, I remember, because I was like checking my email at work. He sent out an email saying that the head of the AV team's wife had a massive seizure and passed away. And at first, I was like, horrible miscommunication, like something is wrong, this isn't right. So I immediately reached out to other people in the church and was like, what's going on? And finally someone else was like, yeah, I know, so sad. And I'm like, are you kidding? What? So and then my mother texted me and was like, can you call me, I need to tell you something. And I was like, so she called, I called her, and she's like, I know. I was like, I know. And it was terrifying, and it was so sudden, it doesn't feel real. So that was on a Wednesday. They had the wake on a Saturday and the funeral on a Sunday. And she had family that were flying in. And they all got there by Sunday, and it was, flying in from overseas. It was terrifying, and still is, because life is so short, and you don't realize until you're faced with that kind of a loss what's really important. So, and I didn't know her that well at all, and I don't really even know him that well. I've just seen their family, and it's like, I think all of us, for the whole community, it's like having a limb cut off. It's just so, I say awe-inspiring in that we realize that we don't decide. We are not in charge of our lives, ultimately. We are powerless. And I think that's what I realized most of all, and just how important it is, how important the relationship is. And it really kind of made me think, who cares if I save $1,000 if I don't let the people in my life know that I love them and that I care about them. So we had a women's retreat last weekend, and I was meeting these women, and I was getting to know them, and I'm like, oh, just so humbled and encouraged, but it was just tragic. I was thinking, I want to do something. So I went to Marshall's and I spent $70 on gifts, because I just needed to let people know that I love them. And like the other day, I think it was Tuesday, I went and I spent $50 on groceries, because I was trying to, they're looking for, they put out a meal call for this guy, because he's has a 6-year-old son, and he's widowed. So I made food, like I never make food. I'm like, I want to do something. So that really, really made me rethink my priorities for this month. And then with the wedding coming up, I want to celebrate. And so I thought, okay, this is what's happening. Be aware. So for my March budget, I made a budget. This is the budget. It's very simple. It's very spare, but it's also, the categories for groceries, gifts, entertainment, and personal care are very high. And I'm okay with that. And that's what's happening and what's affecting me. And that's how I want to deal with it and address it. So that's where I am right now. And I really thank you for watching this far. And I guess if you've kind of experienced a loss, no matter what it was, I'd love to start a discussion about that, because this is, and I feel almost guilty because I didn't know her and I don't really know them, but it's something that just has so profoundly affected me that I'd like to think that her passing would have a legacy and have a meaning and a reason behind it. So I'd really love to start a discussion about that. So please, chime in comments. I'll try my best to respond. And thank you again so much for watching, and I hope this would be of encouragement to you.